guys, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today was day one of 6 days at Jackson's Auto Wreckers in August, and I'm going to show you what we got. Here's a few bits and pieces for Ford FE engines. That's a double groove water pump pulley. Here's I think this is Chrysler clutch linkage bits. This I believe this is for a C6, a Ford C6. These things here, I think these things hold the tailgate on an old step side pickup truck. I found them hanging on a nail in a truck box, and we got a couple of step side trucks around here. This here is a Saginaw power steering pump, but it's a special one. It's a dual return one for use with a Hydro Boost system. And our camper over there, I've got a complete Hydro Boost system from a later model one, and I would like to try installing it on that as an experiment. This is a separator plate, a rear separator plate for an FE. Here's a bunch of bolts and brackets for an FE, actually an FT, a truck engine. More on that in a sec. And here's a really nice Ford tractor top link that we found hanging on a nail in a truck box. Now we got this thing here. This is a Ford FT heavy duty truck engine. It is a 391. They're not the easiest thing to find. You'll find a lot of them that you think are 391s and they turn out to be 361s or 330s. This is a 391. And what we'll see on the back here, this is why I got this thing. You'll see here a C scratch with an X. That means that this block is cast with the thick 428 water jacket, or it gives you a good indication that it is. The X, that's what the C means. As far as I know, the X means it's a high nickel block, but there's some disputing that. Some guys say nobody knows what it means, but I've read other places where it's high nickel block, and it's quite common. You'll find it in these heavy duty FT truck engines. Okay, so what we can do once we see the C scratch, what we got to do is pop out this middle frost plug, and we got a 13 64th drill bit, and we're going to try and stick it between these two water jackets here. And you want it to get stuck, and this one gets stuck. That indicates that they call that the drill bit test, and it's kind of an unscientific way of making sure that it's got the big 428 jugs in it. And yeah, this one does. These ribs here, I don't know what they really mean, aside from it kind of identifies it as a block cast in the early 70s. So this thing was missing a lot of stuff. It was sitting in a truck. It's stuck. But so what we did, we dressed it up with some light truck stuff. So it's got a set of D2 cylinder heads on it. We put a passenger car oil pan on it, a car front timing cover, and we found this pickup truck 4-barrel spread bore intake manifold. So we dressed it up as more of a pickup truck or car engine than a heavy duty. So we'll get this one of these days. We're gonna get this thing in on a stand and get into it and see what we find. For now, we're going to I'll spray some oil in it so it doesn't rot any worse, and we'll store it. Oh, and we also grabbed just laying around, we found a 390 crankshaft. So this will, if we put this 390 crankshaft in here, we can make a 390 car engine. I've got my 410 crankshaft inside the garage. I can put that in here and make a 410. I can bore this thing out to 4.130 and buy a set of pistons, and we can make this thing a 428. The sky's kind of the limit with it, what we want to do. So when it gets time to start messing with this, we'll get it apart and see what the bores look like, and go from there. So why you need to change the crankshaft in these, you can see here, this is the heavy duty truck crankshaft as compared to the pickup truck and car crankshaft. The rear flange, this thing takes a huge flywheel on a 12-inch clutch. This is for an 11-inch flywheel and clutch for a car. And you can see the difference in the size of the front snout. Although either crank will drop into either block. The only other thing we've got to do is, because the truck engine has a kind of a heavier duty oil pump, it uses a heavier oil pump drive shaft, and the bottom of the distributor is a little bit different where it runs in the block down here. But there's a simple adapter bushing you buy and knock in. It's $30 or something, and that allows you to use your car distributor. If this thing would have had the truck distributor still in it, we could have just recurved that and used it, but it's long gone, so we'll do it the other way. Here's our loot from day 2 of the August opening of Jackson's Auto Wreckers. Still heavy on the Ford stuff. We were just wandering around there today. Here's some miscellaneous FE pulleys, except this one. I kind of think this may be off of Windsor. Hard to say. Have to sandblast it and find the number on it. This here is the flywheel and the bell housing and everything from like a 61 to 64 Galaxy with an FE engine in it. Good stuff to find. You remember yesterday we found a Hydro Boost power steering pump, Saginaw pump with the extra nipple on it. This one here has a double pulley, so fingers crossed that coincides with the double pulley on our E350 over there, because I want to put Hydro Boost on it, and I would really like to not have to start hacking up the parts that are on it in case it doesn't work and I have to put it back. So I would like to have a complete second power steering pump to put on the thing without having to pull the double pulley off mine and put it on. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll do the job for us. This here is a heat riser valve from a Ford FE. You can see here it's seen better days, but it's better than the one you don't have. Over here, you can't see it now, but the Durham Regional Police helicopter is cruising back and forth up and down Brock Road. I don't know what or who they're looking for, but I guess they're still looking. We got here, this is a cool thing to find. This is the balancer and the crank pulley from a 68 or 69 390. This is good stuff, car stuff. This is good stuff to find. Ford 6-cylinder distributor cap, a couple of body mounts. This here, the Galaxy frame is interchangeable basically from 65 through 68, but they did make a change after 66 in the rear cross member. So 65 and 66, they had this little bolt-on affair that went on the, you can see there, the pinion cage bolts on the rear end, and there was a little rubber bumper on it that hit against a flat spot on the frame. In 67 and up, they changed that rear cross member to more of a tubular one, and they put the bumper, the rubber bumper, instead of being on here, it was mounted on the cross member, and this part was actually cast into the pinion cage. Well, those, if you grab, say you're at a swap meet and you grab a 9-inch track lock center for your 67 or 68 Galaxy, you get home and it doesn't have the cast in little pinion snubber thingy on the pinion cage. So what you can do is, well, as what I think we can do is we're going to try and use one of these 65 or 67 and 68 ones. Or let me start that over again. We're going to use one of these 65 and 66 snubbers in the 67, 68 car. We'll see if it works. Here we've got that engine that we got yesterday. The heads that we put on it, because it was a mess, right? So we just kind of found stuff around the yard that was already off to make it whole, to make it complete. And we found a pair of D2 unleaded heads in the trunk of a car, but they were pretty rough looking. Anyway, today we found a much better pair of D2 heads, and I already checked that they were hot poured in June of 1976, so they've got hardened exhaust seats in them, so these will be a great set of heads to use on that engine. And here down the road, when we put the 300 in Project Big 6 in there, apparently if you're using it in a car and not working it in a truck, they recommend you to put a 240 cylinder head on it. It's got the same size valve as the 300 cylinder head, but it's got a closed chamber rather than the 300's more open chamber. So it boosts the compression ratio up a little bit, which is good. And it just bombing around in a little car. So we found this one. It's a 1973 240, so it's out of an Econoline van. It's a good head for us to use on our 300. Then we got the instrument cluster pod. This was used on 1965 and 66 dashes. It goes over the instrument cluster. These things are hard to find in decent shape. There's some reproductions around, but they are so bad a lot of places won't even sell them. And they're hundreds of dollars to buy, right? So this one is far from perfect. It's starting to peel up here in the corners a little bit, but I think we can work on it some and clean it up, shoot it with some dye, and for the level of restoration that we do, it'll be more than good. Now on these 65 through 68 Fords that we screw around with around here, a big part of the problem is the side rails of the frames rot out, starting at the front torque boxes, and these rails will rot out just behind the torque boxes. So sticking out of a pile of junk, we call it frame mountain. For years and years, when they took apart old pickup trucks and stuff, they'd cut the frames up and just throw the stuff in a big pile, and it's like a pyramid of cut up frames. So I saw these two hunks of Ford frames sticking out of Ford Mountain when I walked past it today. So I mean, this is the bottom of it. It's punky. But you'll notice the bottom and the top are the same. So when you've got one that's got a little punky spot in the bottom, you could just cut yourself a nice little patch out of the top of this or this one and fix up your frame. And the last thing we got here is this gravel pan or valance from a 75 through 90 whatever Econoline van, because the one on our Holiday Rambler over there, it's got this great big rust spot that no matter how many times I fix it and repaint it, it just comes back. So this one, it's got a little kiss in the middle, but we should be able to pull that back out. I mean, the grill hides it down to here. The bumper covers it up to here. You see actually very little of it. So we should be able to get this cleaned up and stuck in there, and it'll look a lot better than our rusty one. I found this by accident. I was actually re-watching, proofing one of my own videos that I'd made about Jacksons, and I saw about this much of it sticking out from a pile of junk, and I said to Deb, I go, Deb, that's the thing for their Holiday Rambler. So we remembered where it was, and we found it today. Oh, here comes the, let's see if we can see him. Here he comes. That's Durham's finest. I guess they've concluded their business on Brock Road, and they're, I heard that the Tim Hortons in Stouffville has a helipad. And now we got this thing, which is the saddest, most sorry looking Ford rear end I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a Ford rear end with holes rotted clean through it like this. Look inside there. Wow. Look at this. All the mounting brackets. This is where the coil springs used to sit. Gone. It's just, there's the control arms, trailing arms, whatever you want to call them. But there's a reason I got this thing. Number one, the biggest reason this thing is here is because we just could not get it apart in the yard. So what this is here, you'll notice, this came out of, by the way, a 1970 or 71 Lincoln Mark III, which is built on the same chassis platform dimensionally as our 65 through 68 Galaxies that we love. So this rear end, 68 and I think 69 T-Birds also use the same rear end. So what this rear end is good for is, you'll notice what we see on this one. You see it's got two ribs instead of one. Now, if you saw the two ribs and they were close together like this, it would either be like a 1965 WAR case out of a 65 and some 66 Galaxies, or if you saw the N in the middle there and the two ribs close together, oh, you've got the holy grail, a nodular iron 9-inch. But this is neither of those. You'll see here, these ribs are far apart, and you'll see how gigantic the pinion cage is. This is actually a 9 3/8, and they came up with these for big cars with high torque engines in them, because whatever engineering wise, they decided the 9-inch was just not quite enough. And my guess is that the nodular was just too expensive to mass produce to put in these cars. The nodular, I believe, first showed up, I think, in 1964 in a 427 Galaxy. And it was, and NASCAR used them, right? They were like pretty much a race only piece at the time. So what they did, they came up with this. This is the 9 3/8. So in an upcoming, I'm going to make a video about Ford rear ends one day, and I'll show you all about these things. But this thing is a monster, and it's a 9 3/8 ring gear. And what's important about this is it's 31 spline. That's what's important. So now in this rear end, we've got a pair of 31 spline axles that can go into any 65 to 68 Galaxy. Actually, I think right up to 1971, 65 through 1971 full size Ford or Merc or Meteor if you live in Canada. These 31 spline axles will go into that. And okay, so why do we need 31 spline axles in our 6-cylinder 66 Galaxy? Here's why. Because I would like to put a track lock center in that 66 Galaxy. And it's 28 spline, and there's not a lot of 28 spline track lock centers around because they came out of performance cars like Mustangs, Z-Code Galaxy, stuff like that. And when the 28 spline track lock centers pop up, there's a lot of guys after them, and they go for good money. Whereas if you've got a pair of axles that you know you could put a 31 spline center in that, there's a lot more 31 spline centers that come out of pickup trucks. They're around, and guys can't use them because they've got 28 spline axles in their cars, right? So you will find 31 spline ones out of trucks, and that's hopefully what we'll find for this thing, so we can put all this together and make it work. But why this whole thing came home is we just could not get it apart in Jackson's. It's you could see in there the splines of this axle are like fused into the carrier. So I said, okay, you win. We'll get this thing home. We'll get this blown out with the torch so we can get some heat down in there and get that spline worked out. And then once we get it all cleaned up and everything, it'll be fine to go in whatever rear end we decide to put it in. So anyway, that's the story on that. And what I find interesting here is this. Why this brake line comes down into this little brackety thing here. Now, I know that these cars were available with an anti-lock brake system. And I kind of think that this has got something to do with that. Because this is not a hydraulic hose. That's wires. So I think this is a speed sensor for the pinion speed for the anti-lock brakes. Quite interesting. I mean, there's nothing of it salvageable. I feel bad now that I sawed that off because I just thought it was a brake hose, but apparently it wasn't. Here's our loot from day 3 of the August opening at Jackson's Auto Wreckers. And before I start this, I need to make a correction. So yesterday we wanted a 240 cylinder head for the 300 that we're going to put in Project Big 6. So this engine was sitting in a van, and I rubbed off the valve cover, and it said that it's a 240. Well, just the sticker on the valve cover said, well, the valve cover was from a 240. The cylinder head and maybe the rest of the engine was actually a 300. So I called a 300 cylinder head out of there. Lucky it's in nice shape, so whatever, it won't go to waste around here. So anyway, I still got to find a 240 cylinder head, but now I educated myself so I could tell them when they're all in a pile. I know what I'm looking for now. I just, stupid me, fell for the sticker. Anyway, here's what we got today. It was Saturday and they closed early on Saturday, and it was hot as the blazes in there, right? So we did get a couple of things accomplished. and grabbed a few bits and pieces. This here came off a 67 LTD. This is the power booster for drum brakes. So if we want to add power brakes to Project Big 6, this is the booster we need. And 67 was the first year for the dual pop master cylinder. So we got the brake valve and these lines just for models. Can you believe that car was sitting in that junkyard probably for 40 years? There's no front clip on it. It was just everything exposed, and I managed to just undo these brake lines with open end wrenches. Absolutely bizarre. Same thing we got for this is an 18-inch clutch fan. This works on Windsor and 6-cylinder engines, so I was happy to find that. Over here is just a couple of pulleys and other little bits and pieces we found. This here, our 66 Galaxy, it needs some plastic interior bits, and we managed to find them in a 65. This one's got a little crack in it right here, but it's certainly not too bad. We can work with it. We can fish plate it or something on the back side here. And all the while, we'll keep looking for another one that's in better shape. Also, our 66 Galaxy, the headliner had been removed from it, and all the bows were in the trunk, but they weren't numbered. And these things are, they may not all be different, but there are different ones as you go from front to back. So we found a 65 Galaxy sedan in there, and we pulled all the headliner bows out and numbered them as we pulled them out, so we know we can get them back in the right order. I just grabbed this light because I am pretty sure I have the match to it. Last thing we got today was this slant 6 head pipe. It was just laying on the ground. I don't think this is from an A body. It seems kind of long, but no worry, the basic shape is the same. If we need to shorten it up, we can shorten it up to make it fit our A body cars. Here's our loot from day 4 of the August opening of Jackson's Auto Wreckers. This thing here, I just thought it looked cool, this old decal. So I grabbed that. It was on a quarter window of some old car. It was just laying there on the ground. So I said, I like that. We'll hang this up somewhere. Everybody used to put cool old stickers like this in the quarter windows of their cars, right? Deb's always looking for emblems to put on it. She got a piece of wood she's going to put in her shed. And I just saw these laying on the ground, so I picked them up. This is a track bar for a 65 up Ford, same thing. It was just laying on the ground, so I picked it up. This is a little bit of Ford 6-cylinder throttle linkage. It's kind of seized up, but we can work with it. Here's a Ford Duraspark coil. A couple of rockers for a 6-cylinder Ford motor. These, I was just walking past a van, and something told me, look inside that van, there's something good there. My higher power. I looked inside the van, and what was there? 2 Lucas starters for Ferguson tractors, which, yeah, as you may know, we have several of around here. So that was pretty good. And I found after the last debacle where I pulled a 240 head and found out when I got home that it was a 300 head. This time we found a 240 head. You can see there just that tiny little heart shape to the chamber. That's how you tell a 240 head from a 300 head. So we've got a 240 head. Unfortunately, this one was cast in 1968, so it is not going to have hardened exhaust valve seats, but it is what it is. It's literally the only one I could find in there. Here we've got a fan shroud. I don't know if I can use this or not, but it's a Ford one. It looks like it's for a 23-inch rad, so we'll see what we can do with that. And then this thing here, this is our rear end for Project 8-Ball, our 68 Galaxy 500 convertible. And this here, the spring perch on it, is all rotten. The one on the other end's okay, but this one's really bad. So I'm walking along, and I see this thing just laying on the ground. It's a cut off end of a 9-inch, and look, it's got a beautiful spring perch. So I picked that up. We got this excellent vintage set of Krager SS wheels. They need a little bit of work. They're not perfect, but for what I'm going to put them on, they'll fit right in perfect with it. But all 4 of them have the center caps on them. They're Unilug. They're 15-inch, which a lot of times when you find these old Kragers, they're all 14-inch. That seems to be mostly what I find laying around. So they're 15 by 7s for the front and 15 by 8s for the rear. So that's pretty cool. We'll get some, when we get some time, we'll get some SOS pads and the chrome polish out and see if we can get these things looking snazzy again. Now today was day 5 of the August opening at Jackson's Auto Wreckers, and here's the stuff we got. This dash is out of a 65, not a 66 like we've got. A 66, excuse me. This dash is out of a 65 Galaxy 500. Ours is a 66. The only real difference is this is black and 65 on the Galaxy 500, and on our 66 it's bright. No big deal. Mostly what I want from this was this. It's a padded dash. One of the differences between 65 and 66, 65, you can see here how there's like literally a hole in the padded dash, and the metal of the dash frame is exposed for the radio speaker. On 66 dashes, there's like a grate, a plastic grate that goes in here, and the dash pad goes right over that, and it's perforated. But this was in decent repairable shape, and unfortunately you don't just pull the dash pad off of these things and put another one on, because it's like literally glued to the dash frame. There's 3 studs across here, and everything else is glue, so they're not that easy to work with. Beggars can't be choosers. To buy the dash pad, it's like 600 American or something, and by the time I get that here, I don't even want to know what it's going to cost me. So we'll work with what we've got here. This is pretty decent. We do have a 66 dash. We got it out of a 66 Meteor, but it's in pretty tough shape, the actual padded part of it. So we're weighing our options right now. But so we just pulled this whole dash out today. This here, excuse me, this is a Ford Windsor timing cover, and really all I want is the dipstick tube out of it, but it's in there pretty good, so I just grabbed the whole cover. We'll get in the shop, get some heat on it, and get working it, and we'll get it out, no problem. And then we've got a few trim bits in that for the Galaxies. This plastic piece here, this plastic piece was missing from this dash, so we got this from another car. That's good. That's the same 65 or 66. We grabbed a pair of bumpers. 65 and 66 use the same bumpers, front and rear. There's nothing really wrong with the bumpers on our 65 or our 66, excuse me, but you know, it's just nice to have a spare pair around. You tap something or somebody taps you, whatever. These aren't as good as the ones that are with the car, but hey, we got them. That's the main thing. Now, here's a couple of bits of trim off the leading edge of the hood on those cars. They're kind of banged up, but I got them mostly to get the little clips that hold them on. You know, this stuff is hard to find. Here's a stack. Nick was doing good today. He kept finding me these Ford hubcaps and bringing them to me. We ended up with a whole stack of them. That's pretty good. And I don't know where he got this. I think out of a load of stuff he got in an auction somewhere. It's not really a Jackson's Auto Wreckers thing, but Nick gave it to me at Jackson's Auto Wreckers. So it's a valve body and a solenoid pack for a Chrysler 62 TE transmission. Don't know if it's any good or not, but we can check it out, I guess, and see what we think. It certainly won't go to waste around here. And the last thing we got today, Deb got this little grasshopper. I don't know, what do you do, Deb? Put flowers in it or something? I don't know. Oh, she doesn't know. But the important thing is we have it. So tomorrow, just like that, is going to be day 6 and the last day of the August opening of Jackson's Auto Wreckers. There is another auction. They're going to have another auction coming up. I'll put a link to that in the description box below at the after this video, and then we'll be back there in October for 8 days. They're going to open, and then I kind of think that this time, now I keep telling you this is the end, and it keeps coming back, but I kind of getting the feeling that this time it's really gonna be the end. So when I know more, you'll know more. But anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see what we drag home tomorrow. So here's our loot from day 6, the last day of the August opening at Jackson's Auto Wreckers. They'll be open again in October. Dang it, I'm not 100% sure of the dates, but it's toward the end of October after the auction, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So what we got today, there was one 66 Galaxy 500 in there, and so we got the instrument cluster out of it because it's got the same wood grain finish on it like our 66 Galaxy 500. This is a little piece below the dash. It's got an extra hole in it because that car had an interesting option. They call it the vacuum well, it is vacuum operated. It's like a flow-through ventilation system. So the car had an extra cowl on the back. I'll show it to you when I'm in the yard next time. So that was pretty neat, that ventilation system. Never seen one before. And we got this neat little shifter boot, well, because it was there. Here I've got some of the brackets that hold the grill and stuff, and this stuff came off a 65. I'm not 100% sure if it'll work on a 66, but it was just laying there, right, already off, so I grabbed it. Here's a transmission cross member for a 65 or 66 Galaxy. It's got the extra little piece on it here for the 65-66 parking brake arrangement. We got some of these side marker lights for the 75 to 90-ish Econoline, like our RV is. Here's some old school push-pull switches. They're kind of neat. Here we've got a power steering setup and a Duraspark distributor for a 240 or 300 Ford 6-cylinder. A few bits and pieces of bracket. This was a little speaker I grabbed just to get the number off it. It's wrecked. It's got a hole poked through it, but I think I can use this in for the rear seat speakers in the 68 Galaxy. It's a long story. They take an odd size speaker. Here we've got a bunch of 390 connecting rods that I found laying around. Don't know if any of them are any good, but well, we have them. Here's a sheet of 1/16 rubber. I don't know, it might be roofing stuff or whatever it is. I don't know. A couple of hunks of tin we found. Over here, Deb's always on the hunt for some car emblems to put up in her shed. So we got, these are off an old Pontiac, like a 48 Pontiac, this one. And that's pretty self-explanatory. And then this here. This is something that I've been looking for in there, and today I finally found one. It's a Ford 3-speed manual, but it's the one I've been looking for, as it's got a long tail shaft. A lot of them were the short ones, and it's got the 241 first gear. Most of the ones are 309, or I think there was some 325s. Is 325 a possibility in these? I think it is. I already got one out of there, and it was a 309, but this baby here is a 241 first gear that would have been used in FE powered cars and probably FE powered trucks. So that was a good thing to get. So anyway, that'll do it for the August opening of Jackson's Auto Wreckers. See here, starting next week, Brian is going to be in there getting the auction set up. So the auction is it'll be an online auction. It's going to open October 2nd and start coming down on the evening of October the 9th. I will hopefully get in there and do an auction preview video like we did last time. That was a lot of fun, and we'll see how that goes. So that'll do it. Maybe before the place opens up, like the yard opens up again in October, we'll get in there and make a video or two about some of the stuff that's still left in there. And I guess that's it. That'll do it for this one. So we had 6 days in there this time. Next time we'll be in there for 8 days. In October, they're opening for 8 days. And then I'm pretty sure this time, that's it. There will be no more. Anyway, I'd like to thank you, as always, for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. I hope you'll come back and see us next time. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long for now.